Okay, goobers, listen up. This is a robbery. That's right. Hand over your transcripts and applications. I'm not joking here, all right? That's it. Show me your extracurriculars, your grades, your test scores, all of it. Oh, actually, hold on. I forgot to mask up. Give me a sec. Okay. I got the gun right here too. Let me see what you guys are sending to schools. Come on, I'm making a withdrawal here. Okay, what have we got here? Uh-huh. Lots of people aiming for top 25 schools. Okay. It's actually quite a good number of people applying for nonprofits and a little bit of people trying to start some of them of their own, as well as a few people trying to start their own small businesses. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Lots of stuff like jewelry stores on Etsy. I see some sneaker resale stuff too. Uh, yeah, there's some nonprofits from Bay Area kids meant to help the disaffected back at home in India too. So, yeah, very cool, very cool. Okay, the reason I robbed you at gunpoint, liberated you of your applications and transcripts, is because I actually wanted to discuss this one particular element of college apps that I've been itching to talk about. Specifically, it's about businesses as extracurriculars and just how viable that kind of EC is, especially in the grand scale of college applications. Yeah, I'll continue to hold you at gunpoint as I explain this to you. Long story short, I've been working in the college admissions consulting industry for 7 years now, and I can tell you that most ECs are like bull, man. I covered this in a previous video, which you could check out below. But while most extracurriculars can be faked or stretched beyond belief, I would actually say that there's one particular EC that's probably the most underrated. And I get this is going to be a bit of an unpopular opinion compared to what's said in some spaces, but I have my reasons, which I'll explain in a sec. Here it is. I highly recommend students at the high school or college age to get themselves invested in entrepreneurship. Oh my god, but bagpipe, didn't you just say in your latest video that the worst extracurricular you've ever seen in your life was related to starting a business? Well, yeah, you're right. I could explain though, all right? Back up. Okay, but like jokes aside, that activity involved selling drop shipping courses, which are unethical beyond belief. And I won't get into too many details why that drop shipping program was a terrible extracurricular. Just check it out in the previous video, link in the description box below. But in summary, make sure your businesses are ethical, then you'll be in the clear. Now, anyway, why would entrepreneurship or starting a small business be a good choice for any applicant? Well, good question. There are actually a lot of reasons, but I'm going to be covering two of the most important ones: work sustainability and the benefit of high risk projects. Oh, yeah, and I'm also going to cover a few exceptions too, because, like, why not? Uh, Now, take out your notebooks and pens because this is going to be pretty important. I'll be covering this one at a time, starting with work sustainability. Okay, now I know what you might be thinking. Bagpipe, what do you mean by work sustainability? Work sustainability is your ability to maintain motivation to continue a task for a long period of time. Some tasks are more sustainable than others. Taking a super simple example, cooking a nice dinner for yourself that you're looking forward to, or even a nice midnight grilled cheese snack. Compare that with something like writing an essay analyzing Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. If you're not an English major, the latter is likely to have much more resistance or friction compared to doing something you enjoy. And that's the thing. Doing something you genuinely enjoy and look forward to is going to be much easier than something you hate. Would you rather wake up at 5:30 a.m. for that early morning winter season tennis conditioning or scroll through your phone? The point I'm trying to make here is that some extracurriculars, while they may sound reasonable and prestigious, they're not as smart an option as you might expect. In fact, you'll have a hard time maintaining the same task and scaling it over time into something that's impressive if you don't have the drive for it. If you try to conduct a passion project for prestige alone for, say, 6 months, you'll be surprised just how quickly you burn out. This is actually where entrepreneurship comes in. You have the choice to start an unconventional project or small business in an industry or field that you personally find exciting. Entrepreneurship can be applied to just about any major or field, and because this is a project where you have more autonomy, you'll be more likely to enjoy it, and you'll have a much easier time working on it for a long period of time. This length of time or sustainability is the key to demonstrating to admissions officers your dedication to your work. It's also your best shot at actually creating something worthwhile in your work and achieving something cool to mention in your application, instead of just empty leadership titles with no value backing them up. A side note, this work sustainability point is actually one of the main reasons why most extracurriculars suck. Like, it's mostly because students, especially including the ones that I've worked with in the past, just can't work on it enough because they have no drive or interest behind it. It's so cheesy, I know, but business is often started on something that people love, and that love shows through the work you do. Seriously. All right, now for the next one, let's talk a bit about the benefits of high risk projects. So this is actually a weird point, and I think it's actually something a good number of students I know feel quite uncomfortable with. This perspective can actually come as quite a shocker, especially since, at least in my experience, the college admissions consulting industry loves taking an overly hyper careful, calculated, conservative approach to admissions. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it either by saying that opportunities will just like fall from the sky or anything like that. This isn't meant to be an easy task. In fact, high school and college students starting any kind of entrepreneurial venture is pretty freaking hard. But I'm recommending students at the high school or college level to take some kind of entrepreneurial or small business venture that they're interested in because it's actually the best time for them to be taking on that kind of risk. As we mentioned a little earlier, getting a solid business project that you start on your own, that you're actually passionate about, and that can include something that really makes you excited to learn, can be sustainable enough to get you working on it long enough. And that time may just get you a tangible result worth mentioning. But the purpose of starting an entrepreneurial venture goes beyond just college admissions and the sweet, sweet business major paycheck at the end of the tunnel. It's also to give you the foresight needed to try developing a profitable project that could replace a traditional 9 to 5 rat race. Now, why would the ages in between the high school age and the college era be the best time to start a small business or entrepreneurial venture? Why is the risk more worthwhile at that time compared to later? Since I'm still in the early stages of my career, I'm going to be making a bunch of mistakes, no? Well, yeah, but that's the thing. While you still have the cushion of being in college classes and having a mostly more open schedule compared to adulthood, you'll have more opportunities to make mistakes at this age. In fact, like, dude, if you're self motivated and have the drive to actually create a meaningful entrepreneurial venture as an extracurricular, like, actually take your time with it and treat it with the love and care it deserves, you might actually be surprised just how far you can actually go. Like, don't be scum of the earth and start selling dropshipping courses or something. It doesn't even need to be all that complicated either. You could start with something really rudimentary. That's how most of these small ventures start, right? For example, people have passions for computers and PCs. They might want to monetize the PC building industry and create a blog that posts regularly regarding that niche. Now, of course, they'd like to atomize the scope of their topical breadth to stay competitive, especially for a high competition niche, but, story for another time. Nonetheless, this is something that has scalable results that could be profitable in the future, depending on how fortunate, hardworking, and smart you are about your work. The time between high school and college is like a stasis in life. You get a free pass to screw up a little in your career before you have to start worrying about everything once adulthood comes rolling around. Especially with things like mortgages and whatnot, right? And the emotional support of taking care of the kids. It really doesn't sound like it now, I know. But high school to the 20s age is some of the best years of just starting a business. You have much less to worry about if things go ablaze with your business when you're at that age compared to when you're much older. And Yeah, there's a couple other important points to consider, like survivorship bias and a few other issues of faulty logic, like those of students shoving their uh, ideas of what worked for them down your throat, which I'll likely try to cover in a more comprehensive video or stream if I ever plan to milk that Twitch cow for extra content flexibility. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this last point, which is some exceptions. Look, this video is getting quite long, so I'm just going to be super blunt about this point. I find that high school and college students almost always come out not regretting it when they try some kind of venture. And I partly think it's because most people work better on projects where they set their own expectations and schedules. Even if it's a lot of work, it's just something that fits a lot of people's work mindset a lot better. Now, one exception to this is if you're someone who really, really, really needs structure. Doing a small business or venture as an extracurricular demands you to make and follow your own rules and hours. And some people can't work in those conditions. They absolutely need the stability and rigidity of rules implemented from outside forces or institutions, including like teachers and whatnot. Uh, I think another exception to this would be if you're someone who already has enough on their plate. Like, I had a client of mine recently who was accepted into MIT, Harvard, and Berkeley, and a few more for mathematics. And, like, realistically, with their profile, it didn't exactly make much sense for them to just make a new business as an extracurricular. They were already in things like Math Olympiad, a pretty solid robotics team for their school, and were doing other side projects for of their own, right? So it's like, what's the point of overloading with another extracurricular when they've already got a decent profile, right? I think another exception to this would be people who just aren't in the right home environment to innovate in that entrepreneurial manner. To explain, some people live in these households with really strict parents, and part of that strictness is entitlement. Like, they just they would like build okay, they would build this image in their head of what they want their children to achieve in their head, such as like black belt in taekwondo, or number one in robotics at the national level, or 99th percentile in their class. It's just like their families will build this fantasy in their head, bro, and it's like, dude. They'll become entitled to the fantasy they built and mad if it's not achieved. So if you have a family like this, maybe not for you, unless you don't care because you have that entrepreneurial spirit driving you or something. I don't know, free country and stuff, man. Uh, okay. One final exception is if you're someone who doesn't really have a self starter mentality. To be honest here, I actually don't even think this is all that bad a thing to be. Roughly speaking, some people just don't have the temperament to be starting their own projects or taking the initiative to lead their own ventures. If you get your hands dirty with it and you personally don't find the process exciting, like having to lead your own team or take initiative without others and their instruction or any of that, right? Then, yeah, it might not be for you, right? Well, that pretty much concludes it for this video, man. Oh my god, to be honest, I actually realized while making this video that I have like a bajillion other reasons why students should actually be trying to start their own businesses or conduct their own entrepreneurial ventures at least once. Like, this could be an entire documentary or video essay, honestly. But generally, a business venture you're passionate about will show through your application. I promise you. That's one of the best things you can get, especially in an admissions period where fake extracurriculars and fake passion is so common. Like, Jesus Christ, you guys, you see Reddit's chance me, right? But even more than that, right? Like, I actually feel like this is one of the few things that actually gives students a taste of what real self driven careers would be like, rather than just a traditional job waiting for them at the end of the tunnel. Most people benefit way more when working on their own careers rather than working in a traditional job. Earning potential, flexibility, like all of it. Even with that initial risk, it's so, so worth it. It's actually crazy. Well, that's about it for this one. I love you guys so much. Thanks so much for sticking with me too, you guys. 400 subs is actually insane. Jesus Christ. And I know you guys probably could feel it from my video voice, but I'm actually a little sick. I got sick a couple days ago, so that kind of left me bedbound for quite a while, and just overall feeling really, really nasty. But uh, gosh, well, if you guys want any college consulting services like essay help, extracurricular assistance, etc., feel free to reach out via email in the description box below. And until then, I'll see you in the next one. You filthy, morally bankrupt, prestige thirsty goobers.